Hello, everyone. Welcome to the intuitive card reading for the collective consciousness for December 2023. OMG, we're at the end of the year. Craziness. I'm definitely going to do a yearly reading, so definitely look out for that. That's going to come out the end of December. And I think I'm going to switch up the card spread and design a new spread for that. So that's going to be exciting. So I hope you guys tune into that and look out for that published on my channel. I noticed my weekly was 40 minutes last week, so I apologize. So I'm just going to jump right into it. But before I do, please put any comments down below. And also, please like this video. Share this video if anybody needs to hear the messages within them, within the video. And subscribe to this channel. That would be really helpful. And I do have exciting things that I want to be doing in the new year with this channel. So subscribe if you haven't already. All right, guys, let's begin. What do we need? Trader, exchange energy to create abundance. Okay, abundance right off the bat makes me happy. That makes me feel good. And it definitely feels like we're in a place where we need more, where we're wanting more, we desire more. And so, not to say that we haven't before, but it feels very apparent, and it feels like, you know, instead of something that maybe is on the back burner, it's something like we need, you know. So for this is basically saying, the thing that's coming up for me is like, you guys ever hear this saying where it's like, in order to make money, you need money, like that kind of thing? That feels like the opposite of that, meaning like, we have what we already need, okay? We have what we already need in order to have more, okay? That's more so the energy, where it's saying you have the skills, you have the talent, you have the ideas, like those kinds of things. Those are things that people can't take away from you, that you can create more with, okay? So keep that in mind. I'm starting to have a feeling, I know it's only one card and we just started the reading, but this month may shift a little bit more to focusing on the future, like where I've gotten a lot of present cards before and that kind of thing. But this is about how to desire more. And honestly, this makes me happy too, because we got a lot of cards last time, especially with the weekly going in, you know, and which was half November, half December. But where it felt like we were still operating in survival mode instead of thrive, because people don't think about their potential or more when they're in survival. If you think about it, right? They're in survival mode. They're not thriving. Okay, so to make that switch, that's what it feels like. The switch is kind of going on. So that makes me happy, because that makes me feel like, you know, we are kind of conquering that survival mode that we were in, you know, just last week. Okay, so there is an important shift here, and I'm glad that it's happening, okay? Action needed, breathe. Okay, so this is actually very similar to the last weekly, because this was more, it's funny because the action card is always about like, you know, what do we need to run out the gates and do? And, you know, what do we need to do, you know, immediately? And like a fire under your butt kind of situation. The last one was about perceiving. So it's not necessarily, yeah, you're perceiving, that's an action, but it's not necessarily doing something, if that makes sense. So it's not necessarily doing. So this is the same thing. Breathe is just about having patience and just taking a second and breathing. So we do need this too, okay? And so there's not too much I can say here. It's basically saying like, you don't necessarily have to do anything, but have patience. So not the greatest precursor for the rest of the reading in the way of like, I don't know if, you know, this is kind of about like abundance, manifesting prosperity, like that kind of thing. But it's only the beginning, and it's feeling that we're finally feeling the need, not necessarily we're actually going to be getting what we need, if that makes sense. So that is kind of a precursor of saying like, okay, we need to have patience. So that also tells me that it might not be this month. So we'll see. It's 4 weeks. So let's keep going and see what we come up with. All right, issue. We have trickster, transcending convention, stuffiness, and predictable behavior. Okay, so this to me feels like we're transcending. We're trying to transcend out of normal behavior, whatever normal is. Predictable, this actually uses. So we'll use that. normal routine, typical routine, trying to get out of what you've been doing for so long, right? And so that's, but it's under issue, so it's an issue for us. So we're having trouble. So I'm actually curious to kind of see what challenge and changes is. We're having trouble kind of moving out of the everyday, what we do every day. Routine is like another way of saying that. Like, so this week it definitely does feel like we're having trouble breaking out of routine. And interestingly enough, challenge is artistic expression. So we're having challenges with our artistic expression. So issue is saying we're having trouble getting out of the mundane, and then challenge is saying we're having trouble being artistic. So or creative, right? And so this is just saying pretty point blank that this month it's going to still feel mundane. It's still going to feel like, for any of you guys who like my analogy of old life to new life and how you're doing your transformation and it's been happening for like a really long time, et cetera, et cetera. This almost feels like, yeah, a lot of December is a lot of your old life, is a lot of the mundane, not too much is happening kind of deal. And so again, let me pull the change card to kind of see. So we have She-Wolf, Unleash the Wild Within. Okay, so that makes sense because unleashing the wild within is kind of like releasing the wild side. And so that's positive for the change, but it almost feels like it's within is jumping out. So it feels like we're changing on the inside, but nothing is happening on the outside. And it's taking a while, okay? Let's not forget this patience card, this breathe, take a breather, It's not everything is going to happen overnight, like that kind of thing. So I definitely do feel like that's positive, guys. It's positive, where it's saying like, okay, we're getting a little bit more wild. We're doing, things are changing, like actually changing, like meaning like, life is not going to be the same every single, like Groundhog Day syndrome, basically. But it has to happen. The change that we want to see on the outside has to happen on the inside first. Okay. And so that's what it's saying. Also, the She-Wolf is a more feminine type card. And so feminine to me is more reflective, introspective. So that makes sense. Okay. So something is happening within us. Okay. That will manifest itself outwards. Looks like it would have to wait until the new year because this month it feels like it's not manifesting on an outward type level quite yet. Hopefully that makes sense to you guys, but it is happening. So we do need to, be easy on ourselves and know that, because you guys are going to feel it, but you're going to feel it internally. Do you know what I'm saying? So, it is, so that will help us move through the month, move through the mundane, move through the old life, knowing that it's right around the corner. Okay. So that's really what Spirit is saying here. Okay. So focus, what do we need to focus on? Loyal heart. Okay. We had this one, I think, a couple weeks back, I think in the same spot. So this is, I'm very excited to see what comes under the friends, but this is about who's loyal to you, what you're loyal to, what you find. I think I gave the example of like tit for tat kind of thing, but focusing on people that really warm your heart. I mean, I know it sounds maybe like a little cheesy. I like the cheese though, but it just feels like, focusing on love and focusing on who's always had your back and, appreciating that and having gratitude for that is a good focus this week. I mean, not too much more to say there. Okay, what do we need to reflect on? Okay, we have prostitute. I use the archetype deck. Shadow attribute places material considerations and security above self-empowerment. Okay, places material consideration. Okay. All right, guys. Chasing money, chasing fame, chasing chasing whatever our ego wants, money, fame, power. Nothing wrong with chasing power, but power in a loving way, not power in an egoic way. Okay, we've all seen what happens to people that are drunk with power on an egoic level. So I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the other way. So, so this came in the shadow. So, and it came under reflect. So basically Spirit is asking us to kind of reflect on where we've kind of sold ourselves short, where we made egoic type decisions, what we've been kind of doing. And this is a great card to get for the last month of the year, because it kind of wraps up the whole year. It's kind of saying like, what did I do this year that really led me in a direction of chasing money or chasing fame or chasing anything? By the way, those things aren't bad. You know, I just want to say that. I love money just like the next person, but when we're doing it without impact or purpose, or we're doing it that manipulates other people, or does it in a way that's like unethical, for example, it's not great. So it's kind of reflecting on how we kind of sold ourselves short, and where we did let go of our power. And again, the loving power, not the egoic power, but where we just sold ourselves short, basically, it is kind of what Spirit is trying to say here. So what did we do that we wouldn't maybe normally do, kind of situation? I hope I'm making sense with that card, but it's just such a good reflection for the year. I mean, it's such an excellent card to get for the month, but I think you guys understand what I'm saying. But, you know, reflecting back on it, it's also not a bad idea to think about in the future, like going forward from this present moment on, how I'm not going to sell myself short, how I'm not going to just chase, you know, egoic pursuits, kind of thing, and where you can make adjustments in your life regarding that. So hopefully that makes sense for you guys. Responsibilities. We have twin flame. Okay, what a word. I don't know if anybody saw that documentary on Netflix. I did, and I actually didn't put out a public statement, even though being in the spiritual community, and I do use that word, and I do believe in it. I just didn't put out a public statement because I had my cat passed, and it was just not the right time. So, I mean, I still can, but maybe I'll say it right here. I do not condone, I am not affiliated in any type of way with that organization and the way that they teach. I think it's quite horrible. And I think it preys on people that are lonely and really, really desire love, which is a very common human desire. So there's nothing wrong with that, but I think it does take advantage of people for sure. I could say a whole bunch of stuff, but I'll move on. But responsibilities, twin flame. To me, this is not necessarily literal. Okay, this isn't about somebody else's twin flame. This is about what lights you up inside, how you can be the best version of yourself, because the idea is that your twin flame is you, right? And so any work that you do on yourself, that will be reflected back, the mirror, etc., right? So this is basically saying your responsibilities this week is really focusing on you and going within and making yourself the best version of yourself, where other people are going to want to be around you. It's about creating magnetism. Is that the right word? It's about being more attractive. And I don't mean physically, okay? I mean, and not to say that people don't want to be around you. That's not what I'm saying at all either. But it's funny, I said fame before, chasing fame. But it's almost like, why do people become famous? Because there's something attractive about them, where, yes, they do great work and are in movies and that kind of thing. But it pulls them out of the norm, I feel like. And funny enough, issue and challenge, we're talking about, especially issue, is that we're trying to get out of the norm, everyday, typical. And so it's interesting that, Spirit is kind of asking us to look at ourselves and see not just what lights us up, but like what makes us unique, and where we're lacking, to maybe improve in those areas, and to help us grow and, again, be more magnetic. I think that's what I want to say here. So this is really about like what makes you more attractive. Again, it doesn't mean physical, okay? It just makes you, and to be, well, obviously we're only about halfway done with the reading, but we'll see why. But something tells me, because when we move into our new life, we're going to be meeting new people, right? And so, God, I can't wait to do the yearly reading because I think it's going to be super exciting. But it's almost, and I would love to see what comes up here in Friends, but we're probably going to be meeting new people and being in new environments and that kind of thing, because, you know, we're having issues with it now, but it's not always going to be, this isn't forever, you know, so Spirit is just asking us to work on ourselves. That's really what Spirit is trying to say. I don't want to keep, you know, harping on that, but I think you guys understand what I mean here. If you don't, just comment down below. I always say comments, but you can do questions too if I'm not like super clear. Because guys, I don't know if you guys, some of you guys out there read like your own cards intuitively. I taught a course obviously on how to do it. It's like hard sometimes to really like like there's a bunch of energies that's just like coming at you all the time through feelings, through thoughts, through visuals, like, you know, that kind of thing. So it's hard. Okay. So anyway, money, finances, career, you know, I put career in this section. Hunter, track down your fears and desires. Okay. So this is actually the first go-getter type card, the first masculine card I've gotten in a while, especially with this whole deck here where it's kind of saying like, go for it. Okay. So what I will say here is that action needed is a breathe and be patient, but it doesn't mean that you don't go after what you want. So I think that's a really good message, because I think sometimes when people hear like, okay, not much is happening, you know, then you don't do much. So you, I don't know, don't go after opportunities that come your way, or, you know, do anything that is, you know, slightly remotely ambitious. That's not what Spirit is saying here. Spirit is saying when it comes to money, finances, and career, it's not a bad idea right now to really go after what you want. This could also help you really hone in on what you want. And I'm definitely getting an ambitious feeling when it comes to money, finances, and career. And it's not in a bad way, it's feeling in a good way. So even though the action needed is be patient, this is also saying money and finances, which is Hunter, go after it, ambition, that kind of energy, you still go after it, okay? So you can have these two things at one time, where you can be patient for what you want, but you can still go after it, right? And it might not come, but you still go after it, okay? You still have the ambition. So I definitely do feel like there is ambitious energy surrounding us in career, finances, and money, which is, again, not a bad thing. Surprise. We have no place like home. Okay, so this is about, so the word that actually came up is homesick. So we might be surprising ourselves where maybe we feel, and it doesn't have to be a physical home. If you want to go on a spiritual level with this, you might be feeling like you're, especially if you resonate with the term empath, you always feel like you're not of this world sometimes, especially like all of the craziness and the war and the famine and all of the horrible things that happened on earth. You could be getting a little bit of this kind of coming through, and it's a surprise because maybe you haven't felt like this in a long time or something along those lines. Or it could be something more on a grounded level, is that you do miss home. Maybe you've recently moved and you're feeling a little homesick, or you're homesick for a person, or you might be feeling homesick for, you know, your mom's mac and cheese recipe, something as specific as that, or simple as that, or something you missed from your past is really kind of what Spirit is trying to hone in on. And I think it's going to be a surprise. Honestly, from a human perspective, it doesn't come to a surprise to me, because I think that's very valid feelings to be coming up during December is full of holidays. So around the holiday time, we kind of get a little bit nostalgic, or, you know, pull back to the past, like that kind of thing. So it makes sense to me. So I will say that it's coming up in surprise, because I think it's going to catch us off guard. But again, I'm not necessarily super surprised by this. But it's not coming up for any other reason than to just talk about the energies that are coming. And you guys know I do these readings because we want to flow with the energies, not force them. And so maybe this will come as less a surprise if you guys are listening. But it's not, like when people feel homesick, like it's not bad or it's good. It just means that you, like, it's very normal. It's very, like it's very humanistic to feel that way. And it's like, okay. And that's really what Spirit is like coming through with. It's like, it's okay that you're actually surprised or shocked by this. Okay. I think you guys understand what I'm saying. So I'll move on. We have Friends, but we have Companion in the shadow. Oh no, not good. Betrayal by missing confidences, loss of personal identity. Okay, guys, not great. I'm not gonna lie to you. Betrayal by misusing confidences, loss of personal identity. Why did they put yellow print on yellow? I don't know. Okay, so it was a little hard to read. Okay, so I definitely do feel like there could be a betrayal this month. Now that I think about it, am I surprised? Not really, because again, we're in this place, we're kind of moving on, and we are, we already kind of got that twin flame card where it's asking us to reflect on ourselves, where it's asking us to look at ourselves and see how we can improve there. So, and I already told you guys, new life equals new people, meeting new people, that kind of thing. So, but this also talks about improving yourself. And so anytime I ever see or feel anything like that, meaning like the universe is asking us to reflect on ourselves, is asking us to look at how we show up in relationships, it almost means that there's going to be a change in our outer relationships, okay? So, relationship to self and relationship, like anytime we start taking accountability and seeing things for what they actually are, right, and then seeing our relationships for what they actually are, it starts to make things a little bit more disruptive. I hope that makes sense. I don't know if I'm making any sense anymore, but so I'm actually not super shocked by potentially a betrayal or a breakup of friendships of some sort, or just like a falling off. Guys, things don't have to be dramatic, and honestly feels less dramatic. Because betrayal seems so, like, oh my God, like in your face, like something bad is going to happen kind of deal. But it almost just feels like the falling off of something. You're just not connected to somebody anymore, and you're because you're growing, right? That's a good way to say it, is growing, transformation. I'm not shocked that things come to an end. There was a card for the weekly this week about letting things go, or, not taking something with you that no longer serves you, kind of deal. And so it feels like that with Friends, and it feels unfortunate, but we are going to be potentially losing some friendships, basically. I know that's pretty specific, but it definitely does feel like things are falling off, for sure. And in a way that's like organic. Yeah, and this is loss of personal identity. It will definitely, but that's part of why I feel like that came up there under responsibilities, because it says loss of personal identity, meaning like when we lose a friend, like we can lose a part of us. Like it feels that way because I potentially identified with them, or we had like a very long relationship with them, and maybe we grew up with them, like that kind of thing. And again, it makes sense why Spirit is asking us to kind of like go within and see how we're, how we're attracting people, how we're connected to people, how this person mirrors us, like that kind of thing. So it does make sense, and it's okay that you will feel a loss. Like it's very, very typical and very normal. Romantic connection, we have nurture yourself. So I've been getting a lot of messages about self-care lately. Yeah, there's not too much more I can say. This is also interesting because it's asking us to nurture ourselves. So I will say, the more we, between the twin flame and the nurture yourself card here, it's, and then potentially a loss of a companion or a friend of some kind, it definitely does feel like Spirit is asking us to look at ourselves really hard, and how we connect with others, and how we're connected in relationship. And so, and how to take care of ourselves. Obviously, this says nurture yourself. So giving yourself what you need and what you desire is really, really important. But getting that clarity first is what you have to do, right? You have to, in order to give yourself what you need, in order to nurture yourself, you need to find that clarity first, right? Okay, so what's important? Our air guardian, shift your perception. Okay, so we had a little bit of perspective shifting for the week. And this is definitely something that we're going to continue into the month, is shifting your perception. So it's really, really important to make sure that we're seeing things for what they actually are. So I will say, clarity is huge. I just said it. I think we're going to be getting a lot more clearer this month. That's always a positive thing. So we're definitely getting clearer about what we desire and how we want to go forward, who's coming with us, etc., etc. So I see this positive. Health and wellness, go the distance. Okay, so we had a persistent card last week for health and wellness. Now we have go the distance. So be persistent, go the distance. This means don't stop. Whether it's a self-care journey, whether it's a physical healing journey, whether it's an emotional healing journey, a mental healing journey, that kind of thing, keep going. So I feel like some of us need to hear that. I don't know if some of us were about to, maybe say, oh no, I'm healed, I need to maybe stop this. Again, use your own intuition, but it definitely does feel like maybe it's best to go the distance, keep going. Maybe you were going to stop therapy or something, or whatever. And I know during the holidays things get like a little wonky, but spirit is saying, it's in your favor to keep going. You're doing whatever you're doing, even though you feel like you're healed. There's still, like, it almost just feels like there's like more to do, and it just feels like you might feel like you hit a certain level, but you kind of still need continuous maintenance or healing, or whatever you want to say. Again, use your own intuition. If you feel like your therapist is horrible and you've been wanting to fire her for a long time, go with that, or him or her, whatever. So yeah, go the distance. So keep going. Okay. And last but not least, we have God, but we have in the shadow, using people to control people. All right, I find this really interesting because the last overall outcome card that we had for the weekly was Monk Nun, and it was also shadow. It was also upside down. So this tells me, again, for the monthly, is that we really need to keep God, Spirit, Creator, the divine, universe, whatever you want to call it, in our top of mind, and continuously, even though it's not sprinkled in the reading, continuously have that connection, okay? Because it's really it feels like the foundation for a lot of things that are changing, and we just need to kind of keep going, because if we don't, we start to fall into egoic behaviors. That's really what to be godlike is what? Is to be loving, right? And so we continuously want to move forward with more loving decisions, more loving behaviors, more loving relationships, like things like that. So that's really what Spirit is saying as well, is like, how do we move forward? How do you move forward in a more loving way and kind of leave and again, I'm not saying ego is bad. We need an ego to be here on this earth, but we want to be making more loving decisions and more decisions that are in alignment, and that are more from a higher self perspective, from a soul-like perspective. So I hope that makes sense. So keep up with your spiritual practices is really what I'm trying to say. Whatever you do, it's working. Okay, a couple weeks back, sometime mid-November, we started getting a lot of messages around that. Keep going. Whatever you're doing is working. I will say that. So that's another reason why I feel like it's not showing up in the reading, because what you're doing is working, and I feel like you guys are consistent. But this is just a reminder for December. Be consistent still. Continue to do what you're doing. All right, guys, that's the month. I hope it's a wonderful month for you guys. We have got a lot of good things kind of going on. I don't love what's here in the friend slot here. I don't love that we're getting a little antsy here. I got the patience card where we're trying to move out of the everyday routine about, we're feeling a little blocked creatively, et cetera, et cetera. That doesn't feel the greatest. Money and finances, oh God, what is it like to feel ambitious? I would love to know. It's been a really long time for myself from my healing journey, but I'm so glad it's coming through with money, finances, and work. So I love that. That actually is the most exciting thing to me. So, all right, guys, have a wonderful month, and I'll see you for the yearly, and then I'll see you for the weeklies as usual. All right, guys, have a good one. Bye.